Truthfully, I don't know what those goals were. Hi, it's Elena of Financialdemics, and we are doing a recap of my 2024 financial goals. At the last minute, I realized I needed to record this video because I forgot that I had set 2024 financial goals for the year, which is unlike me. But if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to go back and check, you didn't get a mid-year goals check-in. So that lets you know already that I was not focused on these goals. And truthfully, I don't want to say abandon the goals because some of the stuff I did achieve because that was my focus, but there was a lot of stuff happening. And I actually talked about that in my 2024 financial goals video. The only reason why I remembered that I had these goals is because I saw someone else mention that their year was so rough that they may not do a recap video. And I said, did I do those? So I had to go back on my channel and find my goals video to see what I actually set for myself. And in watching that video, I definitely saw how I was very conflicted about some of the goals because there was just a lot happening. There was a lot of transition. There was a lot of things going on. And I could see that it was going to be rough to fully plan the year like I usually do. But let's talk about how it went. Okay, so my first goal is always a goal of mine, and it was just to make a significant debt into my student loans. I have not checked to see how much I paid, but what I try to do is hit a certain number every month. I did hit that number. I did mention in that video that something is off with my student loans. It's still off. Nobody can explain to me why my minimum payment went down. I just continue to pay the amount that I pay, which is significantly over my minimum payment. Not really a fan of my current servicer. You know, the student loan struggle. It's probably time for me to really set the final phase of the push to pay those off, just so I can get away from the servicer. Because the servicer, I understand if you knew, but I'm going to just need you to go to your manager. And when you do go to your manager, to be able to understand things. And they can't say that, oh, I need to research or figure it out. So not really feeling them. But I did hit the goal that I planned to do, which was continually pay the amount that I pay every month to put a significant dent into my student loans. My next goal that I had on here was to buy a house. If you could tell, we're still in the same location. We did not buy. We still have plans to buy, but we were waiting a little bit because we wanted to see what the feds were going to do about the rate. At the time that I'm recording this, the feds has just made their second rate cut for the year. The first rate cut actually didn't affect mortgage rates like people thought, but you know, that has all to do with the 10-year treasury. But we decided, okay, let's start the process again in January. I also will mention that somebody reached out to my husband to interview for a new position at a different place. I will say my husband has been very in demand in his field, so I feel like he has changed jobs 3 times in the last 3 years. Great for him income wise. It's just that happened on top of everything else we had going on. So my husband ended up changing jobs officially in April of this year. He's still in the same field. So typically being in the same field is not something that keeps you from getting a mortgage. But I like to give him a chance to kind of like get adjusted. You're at a new place. If you ever change jobs, you know that when you change jobs, it typically is like a learning period that you have to go through, kind of figure everything out because they do things differently than where you came from. So we discussed that we would push it off until January. We still have been like looking. Houses are still ugly, as I always mention. I did find a few houses that actually I really liked the way they looked. As far as like the structure on the outside, if you're new to my channel, I care more so about what the structure on the outside looks like because that's more expensive to repair. I want a house that I can renovate just because I know I can set it up the way I want that house. Like, I could lay that house out the way I need it to be laid out. Whereas if I just buy a house that's already been done, the flippers here, I haven't seen quality in the material. Okay, the next goal was I don't remember if I said to max out my Roth or to contribute to my Roth. I think I said to contribute more to my Roth because right now I'm in the middle where it comes between, okay, yeah, max out your Roth versus maxing out your 401k. And more so it's a tax thing for me. And when I look at my numbers, what benefits my situation more, right? So I did contribute to my Roth this year, but it definitely fell off probably by the end of January. I haven't contributed a single additional dollar to my Roth. My Roth has increased in value for the year, thank goodness to the performance in the market from previous earnings and contributions. But probably right after this video went live, we had a lot of things happen. And forget what we had going on before the video. We had a couple things that threw us for a loop literally in the first 2 months of the year. So what Roth? I definitely think I contributed to a Roth, as in spent over $7,000 in addition to our bills in the first 2 months of the year. Yeah, that's where my Roth money went. My flight fund. Funny enough, I set up my flight fund. I needed to be able to get to 3 different locations at the drop of a hat, no matter how much the flight cost, but I had an average that I was going to put in there. So I did set up my new flight sinking fund. Because I set up as a sinking fund and set it up to automatically go where it was supposed to go, the flight fund was funded. So I did fund my flight fund for the year. The beginning of February, I dipped into the flight fund. I had to go somewhere unexpectedly. I didn't have to really use it unexpectedly too much more during the year. So any other travel I did during the year came out of my travel fund. But my flight fund was very helpful for this year. I feel like I won't need it for next year. So maybe I'll just transfer that money somewhere else. I'm like, should I transfer it to travel or should I just transfer it to my Roth? Maybe I'll leave it through the first 6 months of the year and see that way. Actually, I'm going to leave it for 2025. I'll just leave it there to stay for the year, and then maybe after 2025, I'll reevaluate whether I need to keep it. Birthdays. Okay, the birthday trip. It wasn't my birthday trip, but it was my husband's birthday trip. So my husband had a milestone birthday, and I had planned to take him on this trip. It was going to be all on me because typically with like my birthdays, anniversaries, he takes me on some great trips. So I wanted to take him somewhere for his birthday. And let's see, how did it go? First of all, I'm pretty sure I told y'all in the video, he kept changing the location. And we actually went somewhere that I didn't necessarily want him to go, but that's where he picked. So we did take our trip. We were gone for 10 days. Actually, it did not have to be all on me. Because of everything that happened in the first 2 months of the year, I was still going to make the trip happen. Because for me, the trip was happening regardless of the foolishness that was happening in our family. And he was like, no, this is some nonsense. We could just put that money together in the travel fund and then we can go. He was like, you could treat me some other year, but he just felt like because of all the stuff we had going on, and at the time we were still trying to like make a purchase of a house in the year, he just felt like I was really putting way too much pressure on myself to do this trip. But for me, it's one of those things, I said it and I forget it. So I had said it, but I was able to adjust it. So we still went on a trip, but I didn't have to pay for it fully like by myself, out of pocket. He enjoyed it. He said it was the best birthday he had ever had. It definitely was like a group trip. We had family with us, so it was really good. We really enjoyed ourselves because that's what my husband likes. He likes to be around his family and friends and joking and just having a good time. Food, family, fun. So that trip went off, and I didn't think no more about the trip except for when we laugh about little things that happened during the trip. So that was my 2024 goals recap. Y'all, I have some thoughts for my 2025 goals. I just don't have them set in stone. We will see what my 2025 goals will be. Let me know how you did for the year with your financial goals. Did you hit them? Did they go out the window like mine did? Because I just completely forgot about my goals. Let me know how your year went. And if you're trying to figure out what you should focus on financially for 2025, then check out this video right here.